Hello, friends!
Hi, guys!
Welcome back to another episode of Catt and Kristen. My name is Shut Up Kristen.
And my name is Tomcat.
And together we have a cosplay live show extravaganza.
That's what I love that.
They're
extravaganza. Extravaganza.
Oh, I like that.
Something straight out of RuPaul's Drag Race, honestly.
Fair. That's very fair.
We hope you had a great week.
Yes.
And we are here to just dive right into the matter at hand with you know, all the stuff that we've been talking about lately.
Yeah.
Today's episode focuses on handmade and store-bought costumes.
Versus handmade.
Handmade versus store.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, the party doesn't stop here, kids.
No.
But yeah, this is what we are going to be discussing now. Yeah. There seems to be a lot of division between what makes a cosplay a cosplay.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, regardless of if you bought it, if you made it, if you designed it, if you did whatever you had to do,
yeah.
As long as you are doing what the term means, and to those that don't know, cosplay is costume play.
Yes.
It's not like role play. That's an entirely different animal.
It's just a different thing. Not judging, but that's just a different thing.
It's a different thing entirely.
Yeah.
And when it comes to this sort of scenario, as long as you are in the costume and you are either performing as the character or you are taking on the role of the character, you're cosplaying.
Yep, completely.
Now, when it comes to competitions, that's a different story.
Yes. Yeah.
Because when you design your own costume and you make your own costume, you're doing that to compete.
Yeah.
You're doing that to put it into a you're doing it to be judged, you're doing it to be critiqued, but you're doing it at like that
with that goal.
You're doing it with that goal in mind. And it's important to remember that we're all in this just to have fun. Yes. If you can make a little bit of cash off of it,
amazing.
Then God bless you.
Great.
But I think that when it comes to cosplay on the whole, I really try to make sure that everyone has a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think one of the big things too is that you don't know your reason for why you cosplay might be an entirely different reason than somebody else's.
Yes.
So that's where it kind of comes down to, is that you might look at it as like, oh, this is something where I can make this costume and spend so much time on this and then maybe compete and get an award for it. And that's totally fine. That's great. Good for you. But then another person might be just going there and being like, oh, wow, this is an opportunity where I can dress up like this character that I really like, but they might not want to either.
They might not want to take the time to make the costume, which is completely and totally understandable.
Exactly.
As far as we are concerned, we are still pseudo novices with the sewing and the armor making, but we definitely try our best to get into these costumes and get into these characters and still have a blast regardless.
Exactly.
If your end goal is to compete in these competitions like the Hall of Champions, I'm trying to think what other ones. There's the competition at C2E2. There's so many cosplay contests and competitions that people enter with these beautiful works of art that they've made for themselves, and I think that is beautiful in and of itself.
Completely.
But here's where I'm basically going to say, if you bought your costume and you enter it into a contest, it's it really depends on the rules that the contest set forth.
But I feel like at this point, almost every cosplay competition has pretty strict rules with how much of it needs to be handmade. Isn't it usually, I've never entered a cosplay contest before, so I'm just speaking from people that I've watched do this and all this other stuff. I'm pretty sure there's like a large percentage of it that needs to have been made by you. Like, let's say there's a jewel
I think
that you bought.
When New York Comic Con started, I think they said that it had to be like 90% handmade.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not 100% on that one, but as long as you made a decent portion of it, you could still compete.
Right.
Excuse me. And I think that if you're going to take the time to make it and you're going to take the time to compete with it, then more power to you.
Absolutely. But I think it's amazing.
Exactly. But I genuinely don't understand why there's this, like, if you're a cosplayer and you buy your costume and you enter it into a contest, but you say that you were the one that made it, that's so wrong.
No, that's really wrong. Yeah, that
wrong.
To put it plainly is cheating. It is cheating. That is, there's just no other word for it. One of my very good friends is in like the chat right now, and she makes incredible costumes, and I've seen her actually win cosplay competition stuff, and like she is the one who said cheating, and it is cheating. No, it is, because you watch these people, if you lie about it, that's just, you're breaking the rules. You're breaking the rules.
You're not. The rules were set forth. I mean, yes, I'm a firm believer that rules were made to be broken, but not when it comes to winning potential cash prizes that you're going to be essentially cheating other people out of.
Exactly. Against people that have spent hours upon hours of their time putting their skills and advancing their skills and working up to that to enter these competitions with stuff that they've genuinely made. It's just wrong. It's like, where's the morality there? I feel
you're right. You're 100% correct.
I can't help but like literally picture the person versus the person that's bought stuff, the person sitting for hours at their sewing machine, re-gluing things, remaking things. Like,
not only that, like the foam building.
Oh yeah.
And the prop building.
It's insane.
And to see, like, it really is not, it's annoying when you see someone that just threw something together last minute, get I don't want to say a higher award, but get more accolades than a person that spent hours upon hours upon hours making something making a thing.
Finish. Yeah, exactly. But with that said, that's specific though to
competitions.
That's specific to competitions. But the problem that I have then is that you will see often, and I've seen this amongst people that I highly regard, I've seen this amongst a lot of different people, there tends to be, when you go to a convention too, with like veteran cosplayers, some cosplayers then start to kind of judge other people based on whether they've bought their costume or not. And if they're not competing and they're not doing anything that's going to possibly take away from you, why do you really care? Why do you really care that much? As long as they're not lying about it. Again, as long as they're not lying about it.
As long as they're not lying about it. Like, when I put on my Arkham City Catwoman costume, people were looking at me like, "Did you make that?" And I'm like, "Hell no, I didn't make that. Are you kidding me? This involves leather and spandex and stuff that I can't sew yet."
Yeah.
But don't. If you're going to wear a cosplay and you put forth that you made it, that's
sketchy territory.
That's that's touch and go. I mean, there are cosplays that both of us have worn that were made by other people that we've commissioned to make for us. There are cosplays that we've made for ourselves.
Completely, yeah.
And honestly, I think when I wear the cosplays that I've handmade, I just like look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, wow.
Completely.
I made this was something that I made with my own two hands, and it just fills you with such a sense of pride.
Yeah, for me, it's just a different feeling.
Exactly.
It's just a completely different feeling.
Not taking away from the people that have commissioned people and bought, because you're still cosplaying as these characters that you have such a high appreciation for.
And some people will go as far as they'll design their own cosplay and then commission somebody else to commission
someone else.
That's amazing. Go you. Like, that's still an incredible form of cosplaying.
To those that can do pattern making and can paint their foam and can do whatever it is that they do and make their own props, kudos and good for you.
Definitely.
And to those that buy it, I'm thankful that your bank accounts are large.
Completely.
Because, I mean, between commissioning people and buying your own materials, they usually run about the same amount of money.
Right.
It's just one, you're paying for the hours to make the piece,
and
another one, you're taking the time to make it yourself.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to just continue to see this divide, though.
Yeah, well,
because go ahead.
No, I was going to say this is really interesting because Keisha actually said in the comments, and I think she brings up a really interesting point. She says, I have a friend that gets annoyed with stuff like that, but when she gets upset, what she mostly gets upset about is people who don costumes and deem themselves professional cosplayers.
That's an interesting. Thank you, Keisha.
Yeah.
That is what does it mean to be a professional cosplayer?
Yeah.
I think. All right.
Because it's an interesting. It's
an interesting topic to talk
yeah.
about. I think as far as making your own, like, let's try again, Tom. Rewind. When you make your own cosplays and when you compete and when you get the accolades and when you, I mean, one of my darling friends, Pepper Monster, Canvas Cosplay, Inked Cosplay, I think his name is.
Inked Cosplay.
They make their own stuff, and they've competed in the New York Comic Con championships and whatnot. At that point, I think you can consider yourself a professional cosplayer.
Yeah, to be honest, I almost feel like it's the competition part. To be honest with you, like I've never competed. I don't know that I ever at this point. I don't think I'd consider myself a professional cosplayer.
I don't think of myself
not at
as
all.
A
It's certainly not what I
think of the two of us as personalities in the cosplay community.
Yes, definitely. And I don't think that I think I have a lot of experience in cosplay.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. Like when we started this podcast, one of the things that I really enjoyed is that I said that, you know, both of us have been doing this for a good couple of years, so we do have experience within the community. You know, we're not new to it, and that so we've had a multitude of experiences, and we can actually speak eloquently on the topics.
I'm trying to read your comment.
But she says, which happens a lot, and I suppose I can see why that would upset someone who strictly makes her own things and gets a fraction of the notoriety. Okay. Yeah, it's
very tiring when you see people put in this much effort and get this much notoriety.
Completely. I mean, I feel that in so many ways. I feel that
and
the
opposite happens too when people do this much and they get that much notoriety. It really makes you think about who's being judged and how they're being judged about their craft.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where, you know, this is where I get a little I get a little worried that the cosplay community is taking itself a little bit too seriously. Because don't get me wrong. At this point, there are people that are making livings off of cosplay.
Yes, absolutely.
There are people that are making very good money, or at least part-time money, being invited to conventions, being sponsored on Patreon, being whatever, which is amazing, and I don't frown on that at all. I think that's incredible and takes a lot of work all over the board to also keep that sustainable. But I also think, again, like when we started this, what we said is that we're all here to also have fun.
Yes.
And not everybody has to take it that seriously. And I think the big issue is assuming that everybody around you is taking it as seriously as you are. Do you agree?
I do.
Yeah.
No, I do. I feel that when it comes to, if you, okay, here's my feelings on this. If you want to compete in these cosplay championships and you work your ass off to make these cosplays work, and there are friends of mine that I have seen stay up till all hours to making things that they don't appreciate, that they really just don't like their work, and they just get so tired of looking at it that they either just put it on the back burner or don't look at it for a while and work on something else. And I feel if you're going to work that hard, then you should get some type of congratulatory, like, wow, you did amazing, your work is beautiful.
Right.
And I just wish that more people took the time to appreciate people that make their own stuff.
Yeah.
Does that mean that I'm saying that you can't do the same thing for someone that bought their own material?
Or like assembled it from
like closet cosplays?
Yeah.
Not in the slightest.
No.
I just wish that more people took the time to say, you're doing this, congratulations. But there are going to be times when someone's going to be like, well, I made this and I made that and I made this and I made that and I just want more.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ego in the
no, there is a lot of ego. There is a lot. But
I mean, it comes with the territory.
And at the same time,
what's happening?
Okay, Ed said last night I saw a post that someone called another person out for purchasing costumes, yet she denies it to her friends. I see multiple posts where her costumes are getting lost in mail and asking where's the best places to get certain suits. What's your opinion on self-denial on not purchasing costumes?
Self-denial on not purchasing costumes.
Well, I think that's just lying, to be honest with you. I think that's just lying. It sounds like.
If you're going to go out of your way to look for a costume, and then I'm trying to understand. What's your opinion on?
She just denies that she tells her friends that she's not purchasing her costumes, but it seems like online that she is purchasing most of her costumes.
That's lying.
That is lying. I think, why lie? You know, like here's a perfect example. So I bought my Spider-Gwen suit. Mm-hmm. Have no problem saying that. Bought my Spider-Gwen suit. When it came to me, I made a couple adjustments to it that like personalized it to myself. I made my own mask.
You don't go out and say that you made the entire
No, I don't.
piece.
Absolutely not. And it's the same thing. Like at this point in my cosplay career, I try to make everything that I can. And the things that I don't make tend to now be like accessories. Like I haven't used resin or anything yet to try and make jewels. And so I don't buy the jewels. So I tend to like what for my Sailor Mars cosplay, the jewel on the crown, the jewel that's on my front bow, and all of the jewel aspects are from this great Etsy shop called Unique Cosplay Props. So I will always kind of see that. Yeah, no, she's great. That it's a really great shop. Yeah, I just don't see why there's a store-bought stigma either. It's, you know, as long as you're not lying about it. Like just be like, no, I bought this from this amazing person.
For instance, one of the things that I am working on now is my Winifred Sanderson cosplay. Yep. And Spirit Halloween actually released the Sanderson sisters.
Some pretty good costumes out there.
I think it's beautiful. Yeah. Like I was looking at the Mary, the Sarah, they looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
And when I saw the Winifred one, I'm like, oh, it's tempting. It's so tempting. I mean, I did end up buying the 2X, but I still want to make my own just because I said I made it. Yeah. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with not only bragging rights, but being able to compete with it.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm trying to think, where does the store-bought stigma, where does it come from?
Well, I think it honestly, at this point, I think it truthfully comes from ego in the cosplay community. And I think it comes from, unfortunately, some sort of feeling of elitism, because you're like, I made this and you bought that. And like, that's fine if you feel that, but putting that on other people is a different story, because maybe they have no interest in sewing. Maybe they have because you want to cosplay doesn't necessarily mean that you have interest in the full crafting part of it. Again, you might be doing it just because you want to be a character at a con. And so I really do think it comes out of this, like, I don't know. It's taking that feeling.
It's definitely a difficult thing to answer. It's a difficult question to answer. Because while there is ego, there are people that do it because they like competing and they like the artistry of it. They like being able to essentially work with their peers and say, let's, like, I mean, I don't want to say may the best man win, but may the best man win, basically. And then there comes into question, like, well, this person did that, but they did it this way, and does that work? Like, there's so many different layers to the competing. Yeah. It really is such a gray area that answering it right now is kind of difficult for me.
No, it is difficult. It's difficult, and also because neither one of us have competed. You haven't competed before. Right?
I haven't done anything like legitimately. I've put in, like, I think I tried to enter my Wicked Queen into something. Right. I tried to enter Sailor Dorothy into something. But unfortunately, I don't think that is to the level that these places are looking for.
Right. Yeah.
Because I am such a novice seamstress, it's it's not disheartening, because it's like it pushes me to keep on growing, and to keep on working on what it is that I want to work on.
Yeah.
And to the people that that get into these competitions, I am so proud of you.
Oh, absolutely.
I am so proud of all the work that you do, because you create these masterful pieces.
Yes.
And again, I'm literally just trying to like circle back to what the stigma is about store-bought cosplays. I think a lot of it, in my opinion, has to do with when people buy their own costumes and then they say that it's theirs and that they made it.
Yeah.
I could say for certain that I have made maybe about 6 or 7 or 8 of my cosplays.
Yeah.
Most of the other ones I've either bought online or doctored up.
Right.
Like, oh God, my Sindel. I doctored up the necklace. I doctored up the bracelets.
Yeah.
I tried to make it as my own as possible. I'm trying to think of other costumes. My Catwoman, my Poison Ivy. Like there are cosplays that I have just worn to wear. Like, I've made a few things here and there for them, but it's
tough because it's like
it's so difficult.
You look at it and then you say, but why would you look at that person as less of a cosplayer? And I just don't think
from a competition standpoint, I understand it.
Yes, from a competition standpoint,
I understand it. But when you're just walking the con floor and you're seeing you're seeing this gorgeous armored cosplayer essentially looking down upon someone that either I don't understand that. It's
and you see it all the time.
Cosplay isn't a competition until the word competition is used.
Exactly.
Like, unless you're involved in the competition itself.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's my opinion on that.
I agree. And Keisha said something really great that I feel like is a good, like, kind of little clip on it. She says, I hope your video ultimately reminds everyone that no one is good at everything, and that's okay. And if you're buying from other cosplayers and or artists, remember that by commissioning them and telling people who made it for you, you're helping out this artist.
Yes.
It can be a beautiful symbolic relationship if you let go of the ego.
You're right.
Yeah.
She's right.
Yeah.
She's 100% Thank you, darling. We appreciate you.
Do you know her?
I do. I do know
she's
her.
amazing. She's so great. Yeah. It's it's tough because it's like we both come from the standpoint, like, as far as my cosplays,
because I mean, and to piggyback off of what Keisha said. Yes. I had it and then I lost it. Let me just reread that. That no one is good at everything. And yes, there are people that excel at sewing and do not know how to do armor making to save their lives. Yeah. That's me. I'm not saying that I excel at sewing, but I am good at sewing.
You're comfortable enough with
I'm comfortable enough with sewing. There are people out there that aren't that great at sewing, but excel at prop making and armor building.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It really just is that sort of again, it's that sort of gray area. And I was so thankful that Comic-Con this year made it so that there was a category for needlework and then a category for
there?
armor.
I didn't even know that. Really?
There were different categories.
That's great. That's really great.
And I think that as more people continue to grow in the sewing fields and the
armor building, prop making,
these competitions are going to start to get so diversified that you're going to be able to see more and more
people show off their skills.
Exactly, people showing off their skill set. Yep. Cosplay isn't a competition unless you're in a competition.
Yeah, it's true. That's the thing I say all the time. I mean, it's just so it's.
That's actually something thank you. That's actually something I'm working on. I need to contact a friend of mine and just be like, I need T-shirts that have my catchphrases on them.
I know. At some point we're gonna need Catt and Kristen merchandise.
Yes.
I'm gonna need somebody to start taking down our quotes because we've already had a couple of good ones.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. It's everybody's doing their own thing. Why not respect what everybody's doing? Again, it comes down to respect, and it comes down to treating everybody. Everybody is at different skill levels.
Yes.
Everybody is doing it for a different reason. Just because you're doing it for this doesn't mean that they're doing it for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree on that wholeheartedly.
That's out of curiosity. Do you think it sounds like it? But this isn't something we've talked about. Do you in the future want to compete with your costumes? Is that something you've thought about?
I'd love to.
Yeah?
I would love every second of that. The problem is, and again, I mean, everyone knows that I have a tiny little ego. Just the smallest ego in the world.
We literally have a live show, and we're like, look at us, listen to us.
I have this tiny ego. I can get very, very competitive, and I think that's one of the reasons why I try not to push myself too hard to compete, because I will cause myself to go slightly insane.
Yeah.
And I think it's in that basically keeps me from progressing in a way that I am more comfortable with in the cosplay community.
Right.
Because I have done cosplay contests, but I've done them at these smaller conventions.
Yes, that's
I haven't done anything on this grand scale, like with C2E2 or Katsucon or Emerald City Comic Con, where there's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
And the skill set is just so how does it go? There's beginner, intermediate, novice, and what's the other one? It's above intermediate. Advanced.
Is it advanced?
Thank you. Advanced. That's the term I was looking for. I think more people need to understand that everyone has a different skill set.
Yeah.
And basically, like I said, cosplay isn't a competition unless you're in a competition.
Yeah, it's just not. And there's no reason to treat other people that way. Unless you are in a competition and they're lying about it, you know it, and all these other things. It's, which brings up a very good question. Yeah.
And I'm sorry that we keep on going back to competitions, but it is the topic at hand here.
Yeah.
What happens if you do see someone that is dishonest about their cosplays? Like, who do you contact? Who do you contact?
Yeah.
And especially if, God forbid, they're a friend of yours.
Oh, yeah. That's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable.
It's just this interesting situation where you want to be like, congratulations, I'm so glad that you're doing this.
Yeah.
But so it's like, what do you do in a situation like that?
Yeah,
what would you do in a situation like that? Let's say, for instance, you and I were competing in a competition. Okay. Let's say that, for instance, you and I were competing in a competition, and you saw me. Let's say, for instance, I made this immaculate cosplay, and I bought. All right, we'll use Ursula as an example.
Okay.
I've made this gorgeous Ursula costume, and this and that, but I didn't make the trident. I bought the trident and then I doctored it up, but I said that I've made it. How would you go about that?
I would probably talk to you about it first.
Okay.
I would talk to you. My first thing is always to, I think,
assess the situation.
It also depends on how comfortable you are with a person. Like I feel comfortable enough with you that I'd be like, Tom, can I ask you a question? Tom, I love you. You're fabulous. But boo, I don't think you made that trident. I'm going to be real with you. I'll be real with you. I just don't think so. I think that sip is shunk. It's shunk, not sunk. That ship has shunk. I think no. If I felt comfortable enough, my first thing would be to confront you about it before you were competing. If it turned out that you were going to still go through with it, I don't know, figure out who the person is to contact.
Figure out the person in charge and contact and just, all right, okay.
I feel like,
and maybe. I mean, I think more people need to understand that there's really no problem in essentially, I guess, being a whistleblower. Just talk to the person first beforehand.
Yeah, be kind about it. Be like, listen, I'm saying this because I think you're maybe in the wrong here. And I want to stop you before. Also, you're potentially stopping them from a lot of embarrassment too. If other people find out, let's say they win the competition holders find out, all those sorts of stuff, that could be really bad for you. You know, that could be bad for you. You could start to get a reputation that you do buy stuff and you lie about it.
But again, does that tie into I'm trying to tie all of this in, and I think that's the big issue. A lot of it, I think, is based in ego.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it, because there are some cosplayers out there, and
you want the accolades.
You want the accolades.
Yeah.
And their work is beautiful.
Oh, so good.
It's just.
Yeah.
I'm really just we're trying to just bring the community together on this.
Exactly. Well, because it just comes down to the cosplay community, I think, taking itself a little bit too seriously. Now not everybody, but a lot of people now want to be cosplay famous, or they want to have a following.
Oh God, why?
That's a different
That's our next top. That's our next episode.
Next episode. Next week, Halloween edition, cosplay fame.
Cosplay. The high price of cosplay.
The high prices. So some people they want to be like, some people take it that seriously because they want to turn it into their profession. That's fine. Always remember why you started doing it, though.
Yes.
Remember why you
remember
started
where
doing
you came from.
And
be humble. There's nothing wrong with being humble.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's unfortunate when you see people lose sight of that. And what becomes more important to them is
winning.
Is networking with the right people.
Winning and networking.
And winning. Yes.
I mean, sponsorships go a very long way for people that go to these
I'm not hating on that at all. Absolutely not. But it's a complicated issue, and we would obviously love to hear what you guys have to say on it. This is such,
really, you want to talk drama in the cosplay community, this is definitely the subject for it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you hear people, too. You'll hear people being like, I don't think that they made that. Like, they didn't make that. They had that so-and-so make that for them. And, like, it doesn't have to be that shady. It doesn't have to be that shady. Why not be like, yes,
it really doesn't.
Made this for me, or I found this online for a great price and I was thrilled about it and whatever. There's nothing wrong with doing that. There's only wrong in competing with it and lying about it.
Exactly. And I think it's in that a lot of the stigma comes from that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you and that oh man, does that hurt when you make something and you take so much pride in it.
Yeah.
And then for someone to like just turn around and say, you didn't make that. That hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts so much.
Yeah.
Because that's not only attacking what the person made, that's attacking their ability to make it.
Yeah. I had somebody say that to me about my Gwenpool at Katsucon.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, I didn't think you'd made that. I thought you had bought that. And I was like, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. I spent many hours. And again, there's nothing wrong with buying. The only reason I take offense to that is, one, it's saying that you don't think I have the skill level to do it. You're assuming that you know what my skill level is.
Exactly.
And it's just number two that I worked really, really hard on that. So yes, I do want to take credit for the work that I have done. That was fun.
And I mean, this is what goes on in the cosplay community.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to a certain degree, it really isn't all sunshine, farts, and rainbows.
No.
Sometimes you have to deal with a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think that to the people that want to get involved in it and to the people that are able to sew and are able to make their own things, keep at it.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it.
I all the time on my YouTube channel will get questions from people that are looking to join into cosplay. And a lot of them will ask me questions about is it wrong to buy this and wear it to a convention? And that really upsets me because the idea that that's stopping somebody from maybe going to a convention dressed up as somebody that's very sad.
It hurts because it's basically like, oh, well, you can make it. You're not good enough to be a part of this community.
Yeah.
When I mean,
yeah.
Again, like I said, unless you're in the competition, there really is nothing that you need to worry about.
No. Yeah.
What a conversation. What a Shonda.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. This is a topic that I definitely feel that we will be touching on.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be times when one or the two of us may compete in something.
Or
we'll be on stage for the masquerade, or we'll be doing our own thing. And again, I really hope that people understand why they got into cosplay, why they do it. I understand that the people that are buying their cosplays know that it's really in poor taste to compete with a costume that you've bought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and the other thing, and not to get too deep into it, but the other thing too is, I think it becomes a big problem too when you have bigger name cosplayers that have big followings that then believe that they can get away with doing that.
The high price of cos fame. That's what we're going to be talking about next week.
Next week. Tune in. Like our Facebook page.
Like our Facebook page.
Facebook.com/Catt and Kristen. CATTNKRISTEN.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this rant by the two of us.
Yeah.
Again, remember where you came from.
Have fun with it.
Have fun with it.
If
you're going into these competitions with the sole purpose of winning and you don't win, just be happy you were a part of it.
And that you made something.
And that you made something you can be proud of.
Yeah, that you made something that you wanted to compete with in the first place.
Exactly.
That says something big.
That says something very big.
Yeah.
We love you all.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week.
Next week.
Ciao, meow for now, guys.
Bye, guys.